So this is micarta. Micarta is basically layers of fabric or paper and resin. It is extremely hard material. You've got paper plywood here. I'm not going to be able to break this with my hands. We're going to slice it up and turn it into a pen blank. A pen blank is typically around 3/4 of an inch by 5 inches, but I'm going to make it just a little bit thicker for my test here, so we're going to go with 1 inch squared. There we go. Just to give us any room for slop. Now, when it comes to pen blanks, you don't ever want to just make one because they tend to blow out. So I'm going to cut up some more and we're going to do this one more time. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right, I have 14 each. And here's the pen tube. No trouble fitting the pen tube in there. The next step is to make all these individual pieces into a single blank. It's micarta, so we have to continue gluing it. And we're just going to glue it together with some more resin. I just take a little cut off and put it underneath. There we go. Spreads them out pretty well, actually. And I'm going to use West Systems Epoxy because that's what I used to make it. So it seems like the right one to continue with. And if we get some drips on the mat, no big deal. Nothing sticks to this. The pressure from the tape will smash out all of the epoxy here and give us good coverage. And I'll probably just put a little bit on top in hopes that it drips down inside. Tape it up. Doesn't need a lot of pressure, it just needs to set. So these should be all set up. You can see I've already removed one. Very hard. And let's have a look at our backup. Weird little stuff on the end here. Let's just take that out real fast. If you've ever made pens before, you'll know you don't want to rely on just one blank. It's always smart to have a couple of backups. So if you're making pens, do these things in batches. Now we need to drill a hole for the brass tube. We got the jig on the drill press. This is centered right in the middle of the jig. So all we have to do is put our blank in, crank it closed, and we're ready to drill. So this bit is specially made for this pen kit. It is a 27/64 bit. And there we have a perfectly straight hole. Look at that, we made confetti. It's a drill press party. Woohoo! I pulled out all my old pen stuff. Now, here's a quick confession. I haven't made a pen since 2012. So it's been a long time. Here's our 2 blanks that we drilled. And I've got a pen kit, which is this Sierra style pen. So the Sierra styles take these particular tubes, and it's just a matter of gluing this tube into the pen. First off, we need to give this some tooth so that the glue will stick to it better. We just want to put some scratches on it. Got our 2 blanks all glued up. All right, let's wait a couple hours for it to fully cure before moving on to the next step. So here we go. One more step before we start turning. I know. It's funny because we call it pen turning, but there's really so many steps before you actually get to turning that it should just be called assembly. And there we go, that's what it should look like. And we'll just do the same thing to the other side. Alright, so when I decided I was going to make a pen, I went out to the shop and made sure that I had everything I needed, you know, because it's been 4 years since I've turned a pen. The tubes, I made sure I had the kits, I made sure I had the mill, you know, I checked everything and I was like, okay, perfect. But I forgot I didn't have a pen mandrel, so if you felt like this video took a little longer to get out than you were expecting, just know that I did too. So this is an adjustable pen mandrel, which is actually a lot nicer than the one I used to have. And then the next thing you need are what are called bushings. And they make these different bushings for different pen kits. These are made specifically for this pen tube, and you'll see that they fit right down inside there. And what happens is that this actually registers against the brass tube. And so when you tighten this, the thing that's holding this whole thing in place is that brass tube. If I'm turning something this hard, I'm definitely going to want to use my carbide tools. You can totally use traditional tools, but I don't know, these just cut a lot better. This would be great for New Year's. There's instant streamers. Well, not instant, right? There's actually a lot of work to get here. Okay. Honestly, as cool as that looks, it's starting to get a little irritating. I have to be able to see when this pen blank gets close to that bushing, and I just can't do it with all those shavings. Okay, we are good. I don't know, it's looking pretty cool, and it's holding together so far. Alright, we are super close now. I'm going to switch over to the sandpaper. Alright, we're up to 600, and we're going to go all the way to 800, and then we're going to start on the micro mesh. Since this is impregnated with resin, you don't need a finish. We can just polish it out. Mesh starts at 1500 and goes through 12,000. That is their own grit system, so those don't equal real grits, but they've always worked well for me, and I guess that's what I find more important than the numbers. I don't know, I don't think that needs a finish. It looks pretty good to me, and that's just coming off micro mesh. Look at that. Look at how little material you actually have in pen turning. There's just a sliver. It's amazing that it doesn't break apart every time. Okay, so now the last step is assembly. All we have to do is get our kit. When I had to buy the pen mandrel, I also bought a new kit. So it seemed appropriate to use the newer kit. We've got the tip coupler, which goes in here, I guess. And then what? And this goes, oh, this goes in here. Okay, so I read the directions and I ended up with these two halves, and all I have to do is press fit them all together. The funny thing is in the hundreds of pens I've turned, I have literally lost dozens or more at this process. So you can totally press fit these together with a clamp. That's what I did for every single one I've ever done. But this time I've got a pen press. Yeah. And that's all there is to it. And it's perfectly assembled. Okay, I've made my first pen in 4 years. How to make a pen out of paper. The Micarta pen turned out really cool. I have made hundreds of pens, probably over 1,000 pens. In fact, this entire shop is basically funded from making and selling ink pens. You know, it was all pretty easy. The Micarta is extremely hard to turn. One of the hardest materials I've ever turned at the lathe. I know this will not be my last Micarta project. I've already got some other ideas for other Micarta projects. It is a fun material, and I really like the look of the colored paper. I'd like to thank Rockler Woodworking and Hardware for sponsoring this episode and for sending me out those bits that made this process so much easier. I wish I'd had those back when I was a production pen turner. It would have made the process so much simpler. If you want to make a Micarta pen, I'm putting all the links down in the description for the things that you will need to make one of these. And you can pretty much get all of that at Rockler, minus the cardstock. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next episode.